Well, hello and good morning, everybody. Today, I'm in the Charente. You might be thinking, I don't really care, Brian. Or you might be wondering, what's the Charente? Well, let me explain, because I didn't know I'd be here 24 hours ago. The Charente is the county department west of the Cruise, which is where the chateau is and where we all live. And it goes from sort of like the city of Limoges to the west coast of France. It's pretty big. It's noted for two things. One, which you might be able to see in the background, is vineyards, and the other one is cognac, which I suppose comes from vineyards as well. I don't know. So Bordeaux red wine comes from this area, and they make cognac here. I don't know if they make Hennessy cognac here, but I know they make like cognac here. And the reason I'm here is threefold. I wasn't planning on coming here this weekend, and I kind of blame Nick. So we were talking yesterday at the chateau, and Nick was saying the weather next week is going to be absolutely pants. Rain, wind, terrible stuff. So I kind of thought in my head, well, this weekend the weather's really good, and it might be the last chance I have this year to go off on a little mini adventure. So that was in my head. I think I'll go off on a little mini adventure somewhere this weekend. And then my mate called me and he said, I'm looking at a car to buy over in the Charente. Now, you've had one of these cars in the past, Brian. Could you go over and have a look at it for me? Because you'd know what a decent one would look like. And he's working today. So I said, yeah, sure, I'll go over and I'll look for you. And then the third reason was, there's a place over here called the Ile de Ré, the Island of Ré, I believe it translates as, which has kind of been on my list to go and see pretty much all year. 2 friends this year have been there and stayed there, and they kept banging on about how pretty it was and lovely places to go get a cup of coffee and nice places to go and eat. So I thought to myself, if this is the last chance I have this year for a mini adventure, why not take myself off, combine a few kind of jobs and visits along the way, and go have a butcher's at this Ile de Ré place and see what it's like. So yesterday, after we finished at the chateau, jumped in the car, stopped off at my house to pick up a package that had arrived there, chucked that in the car, and headed over to my mate Joe's house, because he lives over this way. I don't know if you remember my mate Joe, I mentioned him before in the vlogs. I went over to see him a few months ago, and I ended up helping him change a roof on a house for 2 days, which was not exactly the come and have a beer and hang out visit I had initially planned. But I was clever this time. I went over in the dark. I was thinking, surely we can't be doing a roof in the dark. And we weren't. Also, he owes me a favor. And the favor I called in was getting him to help me assemble the contents of the package that is now in the back of the car. When we get to the Ile de Ré, I'll explain the package thing, because I've kind of mixed feelings about it, if I'm honest. But stop one, go and have a look at this car from my mate, see if it's worth him coming all the way over to buy it. Also, it's getting on 11 o'clock, so I might stop somewhere and see if I can find a cup of coffee. Just had a lovely lunch. So you might be wondering how I'm going to get about the Ile de Ré today. And the answer is, I'm going to get around the place on that thing. That's what I kind of had mixed feelings about today. So, let me explain what happened. About a week or so ago, well, maybe 2 weeks, got an email off a company called Hitway Bikes. And they said, we really like your channel, and we were wondering if you'd like to ride one of our Hitway bikes in your vlogs. And I said, no, because that's not really what the vlog's about. I thought the 2 rules I had when I started this channel was that I wouldn't do anything just for the sake of filming a video, and I would stop doing it if I stopped enjoying it. And the whole will you ride a bike in one of your videos thing started to sound like it was crawling onto rule number 2, the whole doing something for the sake of doing it. And then they came back and said, look, we're not paying you to do this. We would really like you to try our bike out and let us know honestly what you think. And I said, yeah, okay. So I said, look, I don't really plan what I do. Like, I mean, this whole trip to the Ile de Ré, really, I'd say about lunchtime yesterday, I thought I could go over to the Ile de Ré. So that's how far in advance I plan these things. And I was going to bring my normal e-bike because it's a great e-bike. The thing about my normal e-bike is it's really good at going down hills quickly and jumping over things. And then when you have to climb back up the hill, that's where the E bit helps, the electric bit, and it helps you back up the hill. And it's also a lot less wear and tear on my dodgy right knee. So that's why I got an e-bike to start with. So these guys, Hitway, said, well, have a look at it and see what you think and let us know. So they sent me a picture of that thing. And I thought it looked quite cool. It's not really for going down hills very quickly and jumping over things. But it is kind of good for going around towns and villages, stopping for tasty coffees, having a bit of an explore on, I thought. So I thought, well, I'll say yeah, on the understanding that if it's pants, I'll say it's pants. And if it's good, I'll say it's good. And then maybe if I'm going on a trip somewhere, like here, I can bring it along with me. And then I forgot all about it. And then yesterday, my neighbour rang me and said, there's a big cardboard box at your house with Hitway written on it. And I thought, oh, that bike thing's arrived. And then the whole sort of trip started to make sense. Well, not sense, but started to go, well, you know, the bike's arrived on Friday. Going over to look at his car, going to see my mate Joe. I'm going to stay in this Ile de Ré place and have a look about. So might as well bring this bike and have a look. So I've ridden it literally from where the car is parked to where I just had lunch. And it's a bike. And I'm going to have this coffee and then I'm going to head that way because there's a town on the north side of the island that has a very pretty harbour that, again, I've been told to go and have a look at because it's supposed to be quite nice. And then my plan is to roughly go west along the coast to another town, have a look around the place and just generally kind of relax and enjoy my day. Because I have a funny feeling this weather turns next week. Putting those tarps on the chateau turret's going to be interesting. Right, coffee, adventure. This is the little seaside town of Flotte. It's famous for oyster fishing and asparagus, and it's home to, I think, the most decorated sailor in the French Navy, or was home, a guy by the name of Roger Barbeau. I think he's dead now. It's a bit nippy here at the moment, I'll grant you, being mid-November and all, but it's nice and quiet. I'd say during the summer this place is absolutely hopping and quite warm. Don't think I'll be going swimming today, not on that sea anyway. Do you know, one of the things I wanted to do on this little adventure, I was thinking about it on the way over, is to get more comfortable talking to you guys when there's other people around. Does that make sense? Because when I first started, I was really self-conscious about the whole thing. And it kind of clicked with me today why. Well, not why, but like what it reminded me of. So I'm very fortunate in my life to have friends and family that are neurodivergent, various different things. The things I've noticed over the years is when you're speaking to someone who's neurodivergent or on the spectrum, one of their traits is they don't really care about social norms. So they'll just be loud and proud and happy out. I suppose I'm a bit like that as well sometimes. But one of the things I noticed was when you're speaking to them and they display non-social norms, you get funny looks from other people. I don't know, maybe they're just not used to it. But it's something I noticed when I first started talking to you guys with other people around. Look at me like I've 7 heads and like I'm a bit weird. Oh, I am a bit weird, I'll give you that one. But I thought the best way to approach this is to just kind of throw yourself in the deep end. So I'm sitting at a cafe, crowded cafe, on a lovely little harbour, and just chatting away. And I'm going to be honest with you, a little bit anxious, but no one's pointing and laughing at me yet. No one really cares. So I think maybe the fear of doing this is probably worse than the reality of doing it, if that makes sense. And I'm going to try and approach other aspects of my life like that. I think the anxiety about a thing is often worse than the reality of it. And for me, talking to you guys, with loads of other people around, even the thought of it made me a bit weird. It's lovely here in the sun though. It's proper hot now. In fact, I might have to take off this coat and hat. Anyway, I hope you're having a nice Saturday. I'm having a lovely, calm Saturday. I'm going to look at some boats in a minute. I'm not buying a boat. I've had a very, very nice day. This place is lovely. The Ile de Ré. Ray's Island, I think it's called in English. But it's really nice. It's quite quiet this time of year because it's November. But I'd say it's one of those holiday spots that's packed out in the summer. So I'm glad I got to see it when it was quiet. And I gotta say, this thing was actually quite fun to ride around for the day. It's quite comfy and it's just good fun. I don't know. And I think if you had like this e-bike and my normal e-bike, for what I was doing today, which was exploring this lovely little island, I think that's kind of the better tool for that job. Now, apparently you can ride at 150 kilometers because there's 2 batteries, but I wouldn't ride at 150 kilometers. It's got a nice light on the front and it's just kind of funky. I really like it. There's 3 things I like about it that I don't think the manufacturer wants me to mention or isn't on their priority list to mention. The first thing is it turns really easy like that, right? Which might sound stupid, but if you're in a town with people in it with a bicycle, being able to do that really easily, it's brilliant. The other thing is, which I know they definitely won't like, but when you turn the motor assist off, so it's just a normal bike, if you're pedaling through a town with people and you're kind of like that, it's actually a lot easier to ride. I don't know if that makes sense or not. But I found that because when you pedal, the motor helps you along. That's great if you're going down the road, but if you're in like, you know, small streets and stuff, it's not brilliant. So I just turned it off and pedaled it like a normal bike. And it was brilliant. I mean, you wouldn't be doing that for miles because it is quite heavy, you know, with 2 batteries and that. But I know overall I enjoyed it. And, you know, I was reluctant to say yes to it. But I think it could be like, you know, if I can strap a little bag here somewhere and make it my own a bit more, I think it'd come in handy on little adventures. It'll definitely fit into Pascal easier than my normal bike. Because when you put my normal bike in Pascal, it sort of has to go in and then cross Pascal, and then it's the whole thing. But that should go in quite tidily in the back, I'd say. Yeah. Overall, I'm happy with it today. Time will tell whether it holds together or, you know, works. But yeah, that was cool. So I think I got about an hour of daylight left. Actually, while I'm on the subject of daylight, I told Dan this and he laughed at me. But if you want to know how much daylight you have left, if you take your hand and you put it just underneath the sun and then your bottom finger to the horizon or wherever you see the horizon, that'll tell you how much daylight you have left. So if you got 4 fingers, which I just about have now, horizon's there, sun's there, that's 15 minutes each. And then if you're like the sun's higher, you can do that. So that'll be 2 hours. And it's a really useful trick to figure out how much daylight you have left. You know, unless you check your smartphone and it tells you to the minute. But I'm kind of a ways away from where I'm staying, so I'm going to head back now and I don't know, just sort of chill out for the evening. I had a really nice day though, really nice day. All recharged and ready for next week when we start swinging around on ropes, attaching tarps to turrets. So, thank you very much for watching the vlog, and I hope you enjoyed the Ile de Ré as much as I did. I'd definitely come here, you know, back in the summer.